You're listening to Puma Podcast.
I think youth people um, have a really big role on a reformation, on a social reform, and what I could say, social media pressure and critics must be done every time from the people because all of the youth play social media and we could bring awareness to them. And people must unite at least to campaigns about the public policy problems. At least this is to bring awareness and to organize better. And we could see last year, 2024, we could put pressure on the parliament to cancel the regional election bill. It is um, a really huge demonstration and a protest across Indonesia, from west to east Indonesia. With the protest, uh, it started from a social media post, and people even organize in ex social media spaces. They do meetings there. They organize there, and people talk about what should we do, where should we protest, and uh, what should we condemn about the parliament and the government.
Magandang araw po. Ako si Roby Alampay, Puma Podcast, and welcome once again to Teka Teka. This time we're going over to a neighbor to talk about Indonesia. And we know we care about Indonesia. A lot of us are following the developments in Jakarta and in other cities and provinces all around our fellow archipelago in Southeast Asia. And we're following Indonesia's anger and the Indonesians' protest over, well, basically corruption. Something we know something about as well dito sa Pilipinas. In Indonesia, as far as have all followed, there is outrage over allowances that lawmakers have granted themselves. Sounds familiar. In their case, it amounts about 10 times Jakarta's minimum wage. This is just for housing. In the meantime, in the past week in the Philippines, we are tearing our hair out over corruption in flood control projects, ghost build suspicions, billions of pesos, hundreds of billions of pesos wasted in economic losses, a Senate inquiry, a House inquiry, a DPWH inquiry. In other words, we relate. But while we have all been outraged, we're looking at our friends, our friends in Indonesia because they're tearing up the streets. Right now, thousands are protesting across Indonesia. There have been deaths. There have been a lot of injuries. There is a lot of threat now. We don't know what, I mean, we're recording this at a time when we don't know what the situation will be in Indonesia in terms of civil emergency, in terms even possibly of martial law. Government and buildings and even houses of officials are burning, and people are demanding accountability. So today we've invited our friends. We're talking with journalist Juan Robin and also Hafizh Nabiyyin of SAFENet, Indonesian journalists and activists in Jakarta on the ground. Let's hear what's driving this moment beyond the headlines. Juan and Hafiz, salamat pagi. Terima kasih.
Selamat pagi,
Selamat pagi.
magandang gabi po.
Selamat pagi.
Okay. Well, first of all, let me start with this, Hafiz and Juan. You know, Filipinos will fight you for for the title of most corrupt government. We will fight you, but at this particular moment, we will concede that Indonesians look much more angry. At least the people really sound much more angry. First of all, give us some context and just a quick update on what's happening on the ground. Like we said, we're recording this and we don't know if literally in 1 day or 2 days or 3 days, if things will have shifted. We see in the news that some protests have been canceled because we're hearing also from government. What's the latest context now?
So, actually, if we look at the context of Indonesian politics today, we already face what we call as democracy regression since Jokowi administration in 2014 until 2024. And during Jokowi administration, there's also a lot of mass protest. Even I can say in terms of quantity of the mass that participate in the protest is larger than this year protest. We do it in 2019 and also 2020 when we refused uh, allow that when we refuse some bills that proposed in the parliament, and when they want to pass it, so we conduct protests and mass demonstration to refuse it. And the number of the mass is I can say larger than this year mass protest. But we can see actually the difference in this year protest in terms of the escalation and also uh, the methods how people express their anger during the protest. Because in 2019 and in 2020, most of them are peaceful demonstration. But we can see that in 2019 and 2020, when people do demonstration and like uh, stay on the principle of non-violence, and also yeah, there's of course some violence, but not like burning a government building, or not like burning uh,
The house of a parliamentarian. Eh?
yeah, and also not looting house of parliamentarians, not reach that escalation right in 2019 and 2020. We can see at that moment there's still no significant change. Like for the anti-corruption law, the parliament still pass it. The criminal code, the parliament still pass it. And also for the job creation law, the parliament still pass it. So we can see that this year demonstration as a cumulative anger, yeah, of the people on the street, and they just express it. Of course, we can see there's also some indication, yeah, that there's also uh, a political battle between military and security forces, because there's also a conspiracy theory that spread here that military want to take more power on the government. That's why they also indirectly, yeah, launch operation to create riot, to provide ground or justification for their more involvement in national security
Yeah.
effort. Yeah.
Ah, Juan, I wanted to ask you. I mean, again, we have to keep saying we don't condone the violence. We can understand it in certain contexts, but nobody condones it, and we certainly don't want people getting hurt. But we really do empathize with the anger. And there are Filipinos who are saying that, why can't we be that? Why can't we be that angry? But just in this context, I want to make sure we're not missing any context. We are aware that at the start of the protest there was this driver who got ran over, and therefore workers were also outraged. Young people were outraged. We also know that as the conversations and the protests over allowances were ongoing, there were some politicians, members of parliament, who were very insensitive, who poured gasoline on the fire, so to speak. They were caught dancing in parliament. They were mocking. They belittled the people who were protesting. Are those the moments that made this big? How crucial were those moments? One, the death, of course, and then the insensitive comments and the out of touch, the disconnect between the anger and how politicians responded. In other words, I guess what I'm asking is, if those factors, if those things did not happen, would we be seeing this kind of anger? And would the Indonesians have been protesting in these modes, or just like us, would people have stayed on Facebook?
Yeah, I can say people feel a sense of collective injustice from this past 1 year on Prabowo's government. On Prabowo's leadership, we can see a lot of problem that make people angry, that accumulated, and we can see this anger. And as we know, this all protest sparked when a police tactical vehicle ran over an online motorcycle taxi driver and it killed him. But we can say um, police is not uh, the favorite institution in Indonesia by the people. And from some opinion polling in Indonesia, the police is one of the institutions with the lowest level of public trust. There are lots of violent scandals that involve police, like if you know, like Kanjuruhan tragedy in Malang 2022. This news spread all over the world. Police shot a lot of tear gas at the tribune when a lot of the people entered the field because they were disappointed with the host team after they lost the game. And this killed hundreds of football supporters, or we could say a teenager named Gama that is shot in Semarang by a police officer. So people don't really trust the police nowadays. And the anger also accumulated with a lot of problems in Indonesia right now. Like you say, corruption, economic crisis like poverty, layoffs, or a tough job market, especially right now for the young people. And we could say some bad economic decisions from the government as well. Uh, and so the taxi driver incident was the big problem that made the protest erupted. So I could say if the past 1 year, there are no problems such as huge like today. Yeah, the protest will not happen like this, and we could say the parliament does not represent people enough. What also make people shake their heads, like you said, the parliament allowance increase in this economy in this situation, especially for low and middle class people. So, yeah, it become understandable when people get this rage and the protest uh, burn really big right now.
Yeah. We know, especially after the motorcycle driver was killed, that you have a lot of workers on the streets. People are also wondering about the youth in Indonesia. How involved are the youth in this particular moment? When we talk about people out in the streets and not just staying on social media, where activism takes on a form that probably older generations can relate to. Um, People are then intrigued, and we're seeing a lot of young people as well. We saw reports that some protests were led by high school students, and so on. Talk about the youth right now in Indonesia, what this moment means for them, and what the youth mean to Indonesia right now.
Yeah. Uh, Probably I can start ya, Mas Wan. Okay, yeah. Basically in Indonesian history, youth always play a critical role ya during the mass protest like this. But probably the difference is if we compare with previous protests, even in the reform era, we can see that a student executive body played a crucial role or an important role in organizing the protest and also lead the protest. But in this year protest, this August protest, we can see that that role is kindly reduced, and the mass, especially from the high school students, uh, pop up and also appear as a leader. Of course, we can see that this is a leaderless protest, but they become a prominent actor during the protest. And this is actually since 2019 protest and 2020 protest, this high school student already organized and also participate in the protest, and also as key players during the mass demonstration. But this year, that role has been escalated, and even in some area, the demonstration itself initiated by the high school student. And how can this happen? How can this high school student have that political awareness to participate in this kind of protest? Of course, because like Mas Wan said before, that people in Indonesia already do not trust Prabowo administration, and there's a lot of problem, especially in terms of economy, because Prabowo administration, they do not like put attention, and also the policy, the current policy is not is not support the students' agenda, including their parents in terms of economy. Like Prabowo have makan bergizi gratis or a free nutritious food program for high school students, but there's still a lot of problems in the implementation, and we can see that this is also what can incite them. Yeah, beside of the massive digital campaign that also give them understanding about the current situation of the government, and also when they see the inequality and also injustice after seeing the housing allowance, like you mentioned it before, that very very like unequal with what they face every day.
Mm-hmm. Do you think, Juan, and still to you also, Hafiz, do you think that do you get the sense that all of these protests are actually going to lead to some kind of reform or some kind of change? We know that there have been apologies from the government. President Prabowo has said there will be investigations, at least as far as the killing of the policeman killing of the death of the motorcycle driver is concerned. There have been a lot of rhetoric about looking at reforms and being more in tune with realities in Indonesia, and certainly the plight of the majority of Indonesians. But despite this moment, as we keep saying, and the difference in the level of outrage and the expression, do Indonesians feel that this is actually going to lead to some kind of institutional change?
I could say maybe I can add some Hafiz statement before and about the youth first. Um, Youth in Indonesia are aware of social problems. Like Hafiz said, digital campaigns through social media plays an important role. Youth share all the problems on social media, and so by that, people know. But what is the problem in Indonesia? Hafiz said about the MBG program, free nutritious meal program. We could say this is one of the biggest problem right now. Like the government do the budget efficiency in the ministries, and the budget cut was transferred for another projects like MBG, and the MBG program wasted a lot of money. Even the responsible institution, the National Nutrition Agency, is the government agency with the highest budget compared to other institutions. And this program did not work perfectly. Some food was stale, and some students even got food poisoning. It's not really that nutritious anymore. And if you ask me, if you ask us, is this going to be a really good reformation or not? Some people really not really impressed with the with Prabowo's statement about the about this problem. In the press conference, Prabowo said that the parliament will revoke some of the parliament policies, including big allowance for them. And he said he's shocked because of the excessive actions by the police, and he did not say sorry to the people, but he ordered the police to take firm action against the anarchists. He said that. At a separate time, Prabowo also said a controversial statement. He wanted to give an extraordinary promotion for the injured police officer. Because it is people were not happy with those statements, and they want Prabowo to acknowledge the problems that caused the people's rage and do things as they demand. People want Prabowo to fulfill the demand, the government and the parliament. But this not Prabowo did not uh, put statement on those problems, and people said that Prabowo seems like he does not really understand what the protesters want. So I think even the protest is already pretty subside today, but the critics still going um, to happen to
Yeah.
Prabowo
Mm,
until now, until the demands are met. I
mm,
think it's what really happening right now.
mm. There is, as you noted, it's quieter at least today. In the next couple of days, it could be. I mean, we've seen this before in many countries. It could be people venting a lot of energy and then losing energy. It could also be a certain sense of trepidation. We don't know what's coming. There could also be forces that could manipulate the situation to give an excuse for government, for example, to declare some kind of a civil emergency in Indonesia. But you mentioned that the movement itself is is in a certain way leaderless, that it is so organic that it's not actually that organized. So what do you see therefore as the exit, well, maybe not exit strategy, but what do you see as the exit options here? We saw it in Thailand, we saw it in Hong Kong, that when youth especially are the ones leading it, but there is no exit strategy and there's no end game uh, where this is building up to, that eventually, let's say it, more sophisticated, more seasoned politicians and forces will just wait it out because they have an end game and they know how to put an end to this. What I mean, you had mentioned that it is leaderless in a way. The good side is that it's organic. But where do you see this going in the short term? And what do you think is the most that can result from this?
Yeah, actually, from my end, if we look at the format of the current protest, which is leaderless, of course, like you say, there's always pros and cons about this method, right? And if we talk about the uh, exit strategy, or what is the end game, what the people imagine actually from this protest, uh, although the first demand of the people is to refuse, to reject the allowance of the parliamentarians, the big allowance of the parliamentarians. But today, actually, the issue, the agenda of the protest already widened. So people not only protest about the parliament allowance, but some of them even also uh, demand for police reform, because what also very obvious during this protest is police brutality, how they use their vehicle to kill protesters, and also how they actually use their force to not secure the, let's say, the field during the protest. uh, that's why we think that these demands will be not limit to several demands that currently spread on the media, but also will be widen and widen. And uh, after that, if we talk about what is the exit plan, of course, this is kind of challenge if we look and if we compare with what happened in other country. But in Indonesia, actually, we can look at several options that probably we can take, yeah, as the exit point. Like the first one, of course, there's still hope actually for the government to, let's say, do that kind of a partial reform. Like today, Prabowo already said that he committed to ask the House of Representatives to change some of their policies, like mentioned by Masuan. But in the future, if there's still, let's say, consistent public pressure, of course, this is uh, there's still possibility to also ask Prabowo and also his administration possibility, has a commitment to also reform the police and also fulfill other protester agenda. But in the second scenario, if we look at the protester today, there's not only ask for reform in terms of policy reform, but also reform in terms of governmental reform, because a lot of people see that Prabowo winning during the national election is not also legitimate, especially when we look at the vice president. How can uh, the former son of the son of former President Jokowi become vice president after manipulation in the constitutional court? So there's also demand actually from the people to also uh, topple down the current president and vice president, although it will be quite challenging because Indonesia, let's say, we are very militarized country, like military presence in every level of the society, from the neighborhood to the national level, and also the police have been militarized as well from years to years, and we can
And
see
the
that.
president is a former general.
Yeah, the president even a former general, and even today, not today, yesterday, some mass organization in Indonesia already issued a circular letter to their members to also participate in PAM Swakarsa program. This PAM
Mm,
Swakarsa program previously implemented in during 1998 reform era to also to also uh, to also create horizontal conflict between the people. So this mass organization that affiliated with the military deployed to the street. So instead of military personnel directly suppress the people, they use this they affiliated mass organization to do that. And this is already reactivate at least for two mass organization, Banser NU and FKPPI in Indonesia. And uh, of course, if there's still if the protest still escalated in the next future days, uh, this can be become worsen in terms of the violence on
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Uh, maybe I can
Yes, go ahead, one. Yeah.
maybe I can add something from Mas Hafiz, and we could say this year the army bill has been passed, and this bill is strengthening the role of the military. And as we know, there's a lot of demand from the people, and yeah, Prabowo should fulfill them. Maybe people should give consistent public pressure for the exit gate, and we should give public pressure. So by that, the government will pay attention about our demand. Maybe not everything could be fulfilled in a short term, but yeah, it should the government and the parliament at least should give attention to the demands, like Mas Hafid said about the demands from action against the perpetrators of advanced assault. But not only that, uh, the government should do the police reform and stop the army involvement in civilians security, cancel the increase of the parliament members allowance, and of course one of the most important thing is the parliament reform, because they do the check and balances function. They control the government, they
Yeah.
give attention to the government, and this is really important. And as we could see today, the parliament and the government, it look like they're working together. It's not like the parliament. Yeah, we could understand that. Like it's really absurd.
We can understand. We can completely understand.
Yes, of
It's
course.
really true.
Like I told you, we will fight you for most dysfunctional country. We will fight you for most dysfunctional systems. We will fight you for who is more corrupt, and who has a more broken system. But we invited you, and I specifically reached out, of course, to journalist friends, and I said, no, I want to talk to somebody younger than me. You're both obviously much younger than me. But I want to tell you first, and I'll acknowledge this on behalf of Filipinos listening in. They may get lost. Some of us may get lost in the names. Some of us may get lost in the details, and we can certainly understand why you want to say so many things. But just among the things that you mentioned, we can relate to the nepotism. Former presidents or presidents wanting to build a dynasty, positioning the next generation. In the case here of the son of former President Jokowi, he's now the vice president to Prabowo. Obviously, there is some kind of an arrangement there. Um, we can talk about the lack of checks and balances. Uh, we have a two-house system here, but both also are being questioned on whether or not they have the credibility to investigate themselves. We can talk about the corruption, of course, the insensitivity, and eventually, you said, the broken political system, the electoral system. People keep still voting for people that we wish could be better. So we can relate to all of that. That's why I think I wanted to focus on your own reflections, and this is my final question. Not just as journalists and activists, but as young people, because we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, to be blunt about it, as an older person, there is a cynical side to me that's thinking, we've seen this in the Philippines, we've seen this in Thailand, we've seen this in Hong Kong, we've seen this in Korea, all over the world, where there is movements and even outrage for reform. It's hard to sustain, and you don't, it's hard to imagine it becoming really institutional reform. At the same time, to your point, one, you do want people to continue the pressure. But as young people, what's your reflection now, uh, in terms of how people should be monitoring and how people should, in fact, be protesting? Again, we're not saying violence, but how do we sustain pressure? What are you learning now in terms of how to move forward in letting the politicians feel that this time this is real, and it may not be next week, may not be next month, may not be until the next elections, but you will always remember this moment, and these moments will always happen. What are your reflections as young people, um, between social media, where the majority of people still are, by the way, right? We talk about a lot of people in the streets, but the majority of people are still in social media. We're not disparaging that. I think people are concerned. Same here. But I think that's really the question in everybody's minds. How does change actually happen beyond the scenes that the powerful scenes that is playing out on media?
For me, although we can see that there's like endless struggle in some countries, like you mentioned, but we can also see that there's also recent change that happened in Bangladesh after a lot of student protest. And I can say that this Bangladesh student movement also very very influential for Indonesian, because at that moment there's a lot of discussion in Indonesian youth movement about how do Bangladeshi organize themselves, and then also uh, finally end in a reform on their government. Uh, Although they still in transition period, but a lot of people say that that as an initial winning lah for the people. So this street protest is not only there's at least an end for this street protest. And the second one, for myself, actually I reflect to the previous reform era that we have in 1998, where there's also a lot of people protest, and finally it also end for regime change, and it brings democracy in Indonesia for a while. But today we see that this democracy has regressed again, and the autocratic power take again and the autocratic force take again the power. And from that learning, I can say that one of the challenge during that time, how to make this movement sustain, is when we do this kind of leaderless protest. One challenge is how to organize people and how to organize it politically. So how to change this awareness from this political awareness to make them more politically active in terms of let's say, like for example, participate or build a new alternative political party as a new channel for let's say channeling their aspiration, to challenging to channeling their interest in terms of public policy making. In Indonesia currently, there's a Labour Party, which is although not all of them are progressive labor, but some faction in the Labor Party at least yeah, more progressive lah than the other. And also Indonesia, there's a Green Party, which is also still not contested in the election, but also like driven by social activists and also NGO activists and also some student movement leaders. Actually, for myself, I hope that people can also channeling this uh, protest, this anger on this through this political party. So uh, we are not rely 100% on the current political party, which is already corrupted, already supported nepotism, and already co-opted as well by the autocratic forces, whether from national police or from the military, and also already co-opted by the oligarch and business interest. That's why in the for the long term, I hope that this protest not end only in this month, not end only on a policy change, let's say, but also in a more sustainable way, like strengthening that that alternative political party, or even create the new one if we do not satisfy with that. Because I see there's no alternative option, yeah, rather than we rely on the current political party forces.
I think youth people um, have a really big role on a reformation, on a social reform. And what I could say, social media pressure and critics must be done every time from the people, because yeah, all of the youth play social media, and we could bring awareness to them. And people must unite at least to campaigns about the public policy problems. At least this is to bring awareness and to organize better. And we could see last year, 2024, we could put pressure on the parliament to cancel the regional election bill. It is um, a really huge demonstration and a protest across Indonesia, from west to east Indonesia. With the protest, uh, it started from a social media post, and people even organize in ex social media spaces. They do meetings there, they organize there, and people talk about uh, what should we do, where should we protest, and uh, what should we condemn about the parliament and the government. And I think social media played a really important role on the protest. And yeah, it could mobilize people to and bring awareness to everyone. So by that, we could bring a lot of pressure to the government, the parliament, and even the police that is controversial right now.
Hmm. But what are the limits of social media, as you're finding?
Yeah, it's really limited. We could say from yesterday protest, there's a lot of like a fake poster to to join the demonstration, like a provocation demonstration, like that. I even um, find a WhatsApp group about uh, a looting group. They want to loot
Hmm.
the parliament member house, like that. Yeah, we could say there's a lot. It's not really controllable in social media or in digital platform. Like maybe there's a lot of people that want good reform, and there's some people just want to be a provocateur, and we
Yeah.
don't know with them.
Hmm.
And yeah, in addition to that, actually, I think one of the limitation as well for the social media activism, if we 100% rely on it, is our dependency, yeah, to the social media companies, which is also very very limited, especially if we look at the context in Hong Kong and Myanmar, where the government also tighten their control over social media. Then people cannot, uh, like use it anymore to do the mass campaign. And in Indonesia, we see that tendency today during this protest, where the government also expand their control through regulation. Even they ask TikTok and Facebook to do moderation with what they consider as what they unilaterally labeled as disinformation, defamation, and also hateful content. And uh, even a TikTok also suspend TikTok Live. And after that, after tech companies and government take this unilateral action, we as civil society activists or civil society actors cannot do anything, because they own the control of it.
Mm.
Yeah,
But you
the
bring up an
government. Yeah,
interesting point, and just one last question, because I couldn't resist. You bring up an interesting point that in the middle of these protests, social media as a space can also be manipulated. We don't know by whom, but there are ways to manipulate it. There's disinformation that is being spread, and also being social media possibly being co-opted to instigate trouble and really, in a way, take away from the credibility of legitimate protest. What are some forms of disinformation, or at least bad content, or even bad messages that are coming out on social media that has a tendency or the power or the potential to overtake the messaging over legitimate protests? What are some examples that you're seeing there that other societies may have to learn from?
yeah. I think what is worrying right now. Uh, Yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, the police even um, arrest two people that organized social movement, the social protest in Indonesia. The admin of Gejayan Memanggil and the director of Lokataru Foundation. That people, the police tell us that they are do provocative action that ask the high schoolers to join the protest, and yeah, and police use that argument to arrest them. And this is pretty concerning as we could see. And because of the social movement, we could see the police and the government could not really take critics anymore like that. But yeah, I think platform is really an important social media is a really important platform to disseminate information and to organize things. Maybe Hafiz could add some more context about the uh, uh, arrest of the our friend right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mary, what are you seeing, Fish, in
Yeah.
terms of bad elements and bad strategies, basically trying to bring down the credibility of the legitimate discourse?
Yeah, thank you, Mas. Yeah, in addition to what Mas Juan said before, beside the executive director of Lokataru and also Gejayan memanggil admin, there's also two other social media admin that also played an three other social media admins that play important role in organize this protest, in promoting this protest, that also arrested by the people for inciting violence, and also for treason articles even in the criminal code, and also uh, using for the police also using hate speech and also fake news dissemination charge on the AIT law to charge them. Yeah, and also in response to your question, actually, until today, SafeNet see a lot of narrative, yeah, that created by that we suspect that created by the government to also dilute this online discourse, because if we look at the uh, new TNI bill, the new military bill, as mentioned by Mas Wan before, now the military Indonesia have the capacity to conduct cyber operation as part of military operation other than war. And we can see that in this protest, there's a lot of narrative that they created, like labeling the protesters as anarchists, and also even using a terrorist, and also uh, terrorists, and also a treason, treason label to label the protest. And also there's even after the police vehicle hit the uh, motorcycle taxi driver, and bringing him to death. After that, social media Indonesia has fulfilled with condemning the police brutality. After that, we also see that there's what we suspect as influence operation, where the police try to shift public opinion from condemning the police to still focusing on condemning the parliament, or the House of Representatives.
Mm.
So they said like, yes, let's we still focus on the main problem, on the root cause, because police here just to, like, just to secure, just fulfill the order of their supervisor and something like that. And because of that, beside of the police, the military also, we see, play this kind of information operation, while when they also spread the narrative that, yeah, look at the national police, they like, they do brutality when they want to, when they secure the mass demonstration. And the militaries try to like, show their humans side by, uh, like, by say that they are the protector of the demonstrators, and something like that. So we see that this force, the military policy and also parliament, try to also put their cyber troops on the social media to battle each other to win public opinion. But we see it
So
as,
if I'm getting that right, I,
yeah,
yeah, if I'm getting that right, their information and even disinformation campaigns are not just targeting the protesters, the military, the police, and the parliamentarians. The institutions are also basically pointing at each other and basically saying, "No, we're the good guys. Look at them. The issue is about them, not about us," and so on.
but yeah, but we can come to that conclusion, even they not make it obvious.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. But I mean, thank you very much. We've been talking with our journalists and advocates from in Indonesia, Juan Robin and Hafizh Nabiyyin of SAFENet. Terima kasih atas waktu Anda. Thank you very much for your time. And to all of you watching, maraming salamat po for joining us. If you like how we conduct our conversations here on Teka Teka, please do follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, kung saan man kayo pumapodcast. At saka, we're also on YouTube, so follow us on YouTube as well. And if you like our conversations, please share it with a friend. Ako po si Roby Alampay, pumapodcast. Maraming salamat po. Terima kasih again to our friends from Indonesia.